Peace, y'all. You know who it is. It's your boy, the Anarchist, and I'm here with my boy, Mr. Fantastic.
Hello.
And also my boy, Invisiblekatana.
Hello.
How y'all doing out there? Y'all know who it is. It's the Three Nobodies, A Few Nobodies podcast. We sit here and talk about whatever is on our minds, whatever interests these three guys here in this room. But today, it's so many good topics. Where do we start? Let's go ahead and start at the queen herself, Miss Oprah Winfrey. She just did amazing, incredible. I don't know that many big words. Outstanding. That's the last one I know. She just did a really great.
No, man, clap emoji, right?
Clap emoji, cry emojis, just so many feelings. She did an incredible speech at the Golden Globes, and now she should be our president of the United States. Fellas, your thoughts?
I thought it was funny going into that. You see it everywhere. I assumed it's because she said something, so I looked into it because I was like, we should probably do this for a topic. And then when I looked it up, it was like she just did a cool speech, and everybody started saying that. And I was like, well, that's not
the New Horizons part was
lit.
lit. But like, that's the thing. Like, she's been in a lot of people's lives for decades, and if the last election shows us anything, we care about that more. We care about the personal connection with people, and I really think that's because of Facebook and all that stuff. And this generation coming up is more about connections than logic, which is a good thing sometimes, but a bad thing in others. I mean, you know, everybody's like, I'd vote for her. Tom Hanks is her running mate and stuff. All right.
I heard Chance
President The Rock.
Yeah. So, The Rock on the cabinet and stuff. Like, that's great, guys. But that's really going to happen if you make it happen. And how's she going to get us out of deficit? What's her stance on education?
What's she going to do about North Korea? Like, just bullshit like that.
What's she going to do about the obvious racism still in this country and the forefront we're trying to make right now? She just going to give great speeches? Because we need more than that. I mean, you know, is she going to make another great movie? Is she going to have another great talk show for 10 years? She's going to write a magazine about it? Like, you know, it's funny. We talk about how great Obama was and everything, but he did it so well. He mixed being personal with making hard decisions and telling us about that and all these things. And now we're getting celebrities and billionaires telling us it's okay to vote for him and making us feel that way. Like, yeah, we want you to lead us, but do we really?
Man, I think that's just a sign of just where politics is going. It used to be people thought logically. They thought, you know, if this guy can do the job, let him do the job. That's kind of how politics was ran. What experience do you have? What have you done in politics? What can you show us?
True merit, yeah.
Yeah, now it's about, I like this person?
But was it true merit too? Because a lot of those, and I think that's kind of where people are clinging to the personal connections because they feel like they know Oprah more than Hillary Clinton or
the random
senator or Ronald Reagan or whatever.
Right.
You know, how much propaganda was fed to us to make us like these people. When an Oprah or for some people even Trump gave them joy 1 hour out of the day. No, I'm serious. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
you see someone, because Trump even,
because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make yourself feel better about taxes and about how fucked up the world is and about I just got a ticket and all this stuff. And
it's just like attaching to the family or
right?
something.
And who did that? Oprah did for a lot of fucking people.
It makes any crappy situation easier when you attach to that person who's like, especially with Oprah. It's always been Oprah. It's always been great. It's Oprah.
Yeah. So people want to hear, hey, we're getting bombed from somebody like Oprah. That's the bottom line.
Right. And I'm be honest, and I made it seem like, we always been real logical on how we pick presidents. Let me go back on that. That's really never been the case. Even if you think of somebody like Abe Lincoln, which I read, he did the hat thing as sort of a image ploy. Because when people did portraits, they would see the hat and they would symbolize. So that's always been the thing, is how can I get people to sway my way? If it wasn't, then most people would think, well, okay, Oprah's a nice gal, Trump's a nice guy, but I'm going to go and do my research and see, and we will always have what we would call, quote unquote, a qualified president. So that's really never been the case. It's always been popularity. I think the difference is now you can be a personality. You don't have to be a good politician or the most popular politician. We really just reaching in a pool of people that we like, that we know. And we feel like we know Oprah. You see what I'm saying? I feel like I know that. I've been knowing that bitch for a while. So
yeah, you grew up with her, man. Like, she's your godmother, right?
I seen her when she was fat, skinny. Come on now.
Yeah. So, I mean, and think about how many careers she jumped and started. I mean,
Dr. Fail.
The Oz show, and you know,
Oz.
back before she went crazy for a little while, Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I think she's still great.
well, she is,
Shout out
but
to Rosie O'Donnell. She leads some movements.
you know, but like,
it's Oprah. So, I mean, like I was saying, when it first all came out, I thought it was a big deal because she said it herself. So it did surprise me that it came out like, you know, Oprah 2020 and all this stuff, because just, you know, she did this great speech. It's like, sure, great speech. But it did surprise me that was instantaneously what it led to, is people saying she should be president. But one thing I saw earlier, I was looking up stuff, is that it's in the episode of the Boondocks with Martin Luther King Jr. when he comes back to life, or when he didn't technically die.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, it says Oprah in 2020, which I thought was funny. So they're going the way of the Simpsons if that happens.
The future.
Man, let's touch on the Boondocks for a second and talk about how amazing of a show that was, comic strip that was.
What's the guy's name? Magruder?
Aaron Magruder.
Yeah,
Magruder.
and,
Shout out to him. Shout out to everybody.
Well, and specifically, I still cry every time I see this episode. I'm sorry, I'm a bitch. I don't care. Is when he gets into spray painting.
The Bob Ross.
Yeah. And he it's so funny. It's so funny. But he makes the portrait of his grandma and his grandpa, and like, you know, the grandpa gets all soft and like, to me, that's what society is. Like, it cracks me up that generations hate each other and all this stuff, when really all we're trying to do is please them in the way that we know how. The way you taught me and the way I interpreted it. You know, and I really think that's what Hollywood's tugging at right now, is that feeling, and they're going to be able to do anything they want. And it makes me so mad, because what did they do about women's rights and all that stuff? They wore some black fucking outfits, and they talked about it.
They made a hashtag.
Yeah, and they talked about it. You only see the famous people when it's a big deal, when the cameras are around. For the most part. There are people that really do. Like, Emma Watson's a really big advocate. Like, there are people that do that. But for society to be like, oh my gosh, look at this, and this is so great. No, why don't you just try it in your normal day life? You know? Just be good to people, and then a lot of this shit will go away.
I know one of my favorite, at least I won't say episodes, but concepts of the Boondocks is the fact that he actually foresaw a lot of some of the stuff that's going on in rap. Do you remember the character, was it Thuglicious?
Yeah.
And now we literally have a guy named Young Thug who wears dresses on the cover of his albums, putting out some pretty suspect lingo, calling his guns dicks. We're gonna pull up on you with them dicks. We smoking dicks. He calls blunts dicks. We're smoking. Listen to what I'm telling you. But he, of course, he says he's not gay. He has twerk videos. So this was at a time where people thought that was so funny. Like, oh, a gay rapper. People thought he was insinuating, which at the time he probably was, that most rappers like are in the country.
Somebody secretly.
Yeah, but he actually made a big thing.
Why is that? Why is, like, sports and rappers, why is it not okay to be gay? Like,
most rappers are black, so that is the instantaneous issue. Like we talked about with the city, that whole deal, just growing up black and all the stigmas, and it's just like insane like that.
Why? Okay, I'm gonna ask this question in fear of getting yelled at, but
what do you mean?
Okay, we want equality, right?
What do you mean? Oh, okay, all right, you didn't get to the part yet.
So why, as a culture?
See, I'm gonna edit all that out. Well, I can't edit that out because you're asking.
I know.
But,
why, as a culture, does gay, lesbian, and stuff, why is that such a bad thing in black culture? Why is that such a negative thing? Because you guys are fighting for equality, you want equality, right? But the same person who's like, all black lives matter, and preaching that, and I support that 100%, but in the next sentence is like, yo, what's up, F word? Why are you being an F word? Oh, don't touch me like. Am I wrong?
No, I would say that it's tied directly to religion more than anything else, because that's really one thing. It is for black cultures. It's that huge stigma because there's the huge religious element of it, and it'll be. I mean, you'll have someone who is a pastor, stuff like that. Like my ex's dad was a pastor, and we would talk about the stuff that he would say, and it's like. Which was, of course, most of it derogatory towards homosexuals. Yeah, that's really that's the main thing. Because if you look at just the a lot of the
the essence of black folks, they don't really hate like that. Like, even myself, I have a gay cousin. It was clear that he was gay.
But that's the thing. You say that. That's instantly what you go to. But what pisses you off the most? I have a black friend. Like, that's instantly what you... But no, I get it. I understand. But, like, I want to know why, as a society, we can't just want to be equal all the time. Because I have stigmas, too. There are things that make me scared that shouldn't. That make me wonder about stuff that shouldn't. And I try to fight with that all the time. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I
would definitely say it's religion. I would say without a doubt, and that comes from, the big thing that I think makes religion so huge for black people is admittedly due to slavery, because that was like the big outlet during slavery. And I think that just kept going. And with whoever wrote the Bible or whatever, it was like, these are the rules. And then it just stays that way. And people are just like, well, you know how it is with anyone that follows religion. Like, well, it's this. But then it's like, well, you do this and this. So you pissed off at whoever for whatever, and that's really how it is. And it's like
I'm sorry for interrupting that way. Finish. No, I apologize.
No, I was just gonna say, well, it wasn't just to say that. No.
I know.
It was
that's
more
why.
so to kind of illustrate the fact that an experience of mine in my family, my cousin was completely gay as a young child, and because my family, mostly, the older people in my family are really religious, they just totally look past that. But if you was a young kid like me who, I ain't gonna lie,
just doing whatever.
As a kid, didn't give a fuck about religion. I kind of see that. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. I'm taught that gay is not really something that's accepted, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? That's always been my attitude. That's my favorite cousin to this day. You know what I'm saying? Even though he was playing with Barbies, I was playing with Power Rangers. It was what it was. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of that stuff is the mind control. Like, most black people really don't we people that don't too much care about what you got going on, the disposition that you have, all the stuff that happened to us. Most of us don't even hate white folks. You can find a few niche people who just on some stuff, but for the most part, we can function in society with just about anybody. So the whole gay thing, I think that is, and that's what I talk about a lot, that's one of those things where you have to take a look at religion. I know some people want to look at religion like it's just a positive thing, you know what I'm saying? But no, it's brought some things that's hard to shake. I've talked to religious people all the time.
People kill for it. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if
that Bible says you're not supposed to like 13-year-olds, you see what I'm saying? Then there'll be a lot of people going, once you get to this age, you're gonna have to get out this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Just real dumb shit over that. Cause regular human beings, most anybody who's not gay, let me say this. Most men, let me say, because most women too much don't care about that for the most part. But if you are a man and you are heterosexual, and I'm speaking about my experience, you don't give a fuck about a gay person or not. You know what I'm saying? In the instance of somebody come to me and tell you he gay, oh, that's bad, that's this, that's that, I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? You can tell me your perspective of things, and okay, some stuff I'm gonna say, all right, I'm not with that, whatever. But I don't care to hate you. I don't think nothing bad should happen to you, nothing like that. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's how most black people feel. But a lot of these different media outlets, some forms of media, and definitely religion, a lot of these ideas that say you're not supposed to be this way, which is the dumbest thing I ever heard. You're not supposed to be this way.
Do you think that media has something to do with? Because like from what you said, like from my experience, most black people don't hate white people, and from my experience, most white people don't hate black people, right? Or gay people or whatever. But I do have people who have issues with stuff like that in my life and everything, but it's a minority, and their thought processes about things have changed. So why in the media, comics, for instance, are the best? Because they're always bringing up the stereotypes, making fun of it and stuff like that. Like, why do we still talk about it? And that's what leads me into the H&M thing. Is like, here's a prominently in society company supported by the LGBT, very open with that, coming out with an ad where people are freaking out. Have you seen the ad?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so I want to give my perspective, then I want to hear your guys' perspective. Okay. And I'm so excited because I'm so excited. Okay, so first, parent perspective. Listen, my oldest I call my little monkey. Okay, so if I saw a hoodie like that, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that would be so cute for my daughter. And she's always loved Curious George, still carries around a Curious George, calls it her haha. You've seen it. I mean, it's this ratty thing. It's got a string. We call it the goatee. It's got a little string hanging out. We can maybe wash it once a month if we're lucky. If we can get it out of the hand, and like, so So when I saw that ad for the first time, trying not to, get what people were talking about it out of my head, I was like, that's a really cute sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. I get where it's trying to go with that. But on the flip side, perspective of a guy who wants the world to not, and we've talked about this, not care about the meaning of words, except for my big three, right?
Yeah.
And to me, monkey is a derivative of the N-word, for me.
Yeah.
Because there's nursery rhymes that I sing my kids, like 10 monkeys jumping on a bed.
Yeah.
The original word wasn't monkeys in that, catch a tiger by his toe. The original word wasn't tiger, right? So, like, for me, it's almost like subliminal messaging, like a little wink, like, hey, we still know inequality. We still know that racism exists here, or was it innocent because it's a Swedish company and they saw a cute kid and put a sweatshirt on him.
Yeah. It's one of those weird things. Like you mentioned the derivative nature of monkey. It is like right after then where that's what it was when it was like, all right, well, we can't say it on TV now.
It still is. Didn't an owner or like a business guy get like fired for getting recorded saying monkeys?
Probably.
You know what I mean? It's
like
something like that.
I know for a fact that porch monkeys is a huge negative word in the South.
Derogatory term, yeah. And I would say that a big thing about it is, like the innocent nature of it is one of those things. Like I saw a comment where somebody mentioned at this point, ignorance isn't kind of pretty much allowed, I guess, at this point. Like especially with a company that is international, it's not like it's just a Swedish-based company or just because it was. I believe they said like the pictures and stuff that was done in the UK. I believe that's what I heard. But it's one of those things where it's like, that's especially, like I said, international company. That's the sort of thing you do have to know. And it's not like people, even in other countries, people know the history of the US because that's like a big deal where it's like, it ain't that great, if you go back a little bit. Yeah. So that's actually like, really well known. So that ignorance of it is like somebody should have just been like, maybe, even if it's, like you said, even if it's done innocently,
But then, where do we draw the line? I mean, and I'm not saying that it was right or wrong or, whatever, but like, when are we going to stop letting that word have power? I mean, because that's the point, right? Because if it would have said tiger or jack, we wouldn't even be talking right now. We wouldn't even be talking about it.
But
or if it was not a kid of color.
Yeah,
that's because the thing is, I heard a lot of the conversation that was being had, and it was two kids in a photo shoot. It was a white kid and a black kid. I forget the total name of the apparel, but somebody's argument was if you look at the white kid's hoodie and you look at the black kid's hoodie, if you'd have just switched hoodies, somebody just been like, oh, this is some bullshit. Let's just do that, and maybe people won't. Then that would have been an option because he said I think his didn't allude to anything with monkey, but it had jungle in it or something like that.
Yeah, like jungle hunter. It sounds like that. Yeah.
So, but let's look at it this way. Let's look at it totally, completely objective because we really want to get down to the bottom of this. We don't want to say that. Let's look at not only context but intention. All right, from a corporation standpoint. Okay, we have this clothing line and a T-shirt says. What does the T-shirt say? Coolest monkey in the jungle.
Yeah.
There you go. So
cutest, I think.
Yeah.
Something
cutest
like
or coolest. Yeah. It's one of those.
Yeah, I think it was coolest.
I think it was. I think it was coolest.
Anyway,
I got girl brain. I mean, that's all I have is daughters. So like,
if only you say cutest monkey in the jungle. I'm so unique.
Coolest just isn't part of my vocabulary.
Clearly not. But yeah, it says what it says. And let's just take it from a standpoint of they were being pure intention. They weren't trying to send something out, wink, wink. Let's see if we can get this through. Let's just say it was a hoodie. We had two kid models, one's black, one's white. Let's say that. You have a photographer in the room. You have people with lights in the room and set people and producers and people like that. And everybody's looking at this sweater. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's looking, okay, there's a pretty black kid, very melanin heavy kid. With a sweater or a hoodie that in some context has monkey on it. You can kind of look at that, okay. A lot of people in the room may look at that like, okay. And then those photos have to go to editors who stare intently at these photos and say, okay. But hold on, let's.
And at that point, I think it's too late.
Let's switch the context.
Yeah, because then you gotta get the bottles back out. Then you gotta pay the photographer again.
But think about it. If they had one smart person in their whole thing, they might say, "Hey, this could lead to something huge."
Yeah.
So maybe we may want to go through the trouble of doing that because it won't destroy our brain. But let's look at it this way, because I'm gonna switch the perspective just so I can see what maybe I would do in that situation. Mm-hmm. I thought about this. So here we go. Let's say I have a clothing line, you see, and I sell food or something. Right. And I just so happen to do a model search and I get some white models or whatever. And I'm pushing my crackers. You see what I'm saying? I think people see where I'm going with this. So I say,
but that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. That's what pisses me off the most. Is the headline wouldn't be, oh, they used cracker. The headline would be fastest growing restaurant or food company in the whole thing because they run around with white models calling them crackers. Ha 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 ha.
Well, you don't think some Breitbart people or some alt-right people?
Well, yeah, but who listens to those crazy motherfuckers? I'm just saying, like
millions of people.
Well, fair enough. They elected a president.
You know, just the president. Who else? Who else? Listen to these guys. Come on now, let's get serious.
No, I know. I get that, but like.
So, you know, and it was just Black Twitter that kind of went off. I looked at it and was like, you know, I didn't get mad. I'm just like, okay, you know. Either that was a mistake or that was somebody being, you know what I'm saying, a dick. Yeah. And just thought people was going to look past it, which, you know, maybe some people feel like they should. But let's look at context. See, a lot of things, we could really try, and you know who's really big on this? Morgan Freeman. That's why I don't really like him as an actor. He pushes the narrative, look, let's never, ever, ever talk about race ever. If I had a wife and I beat her ass, and I say, you know what, I'm not doing it anymore, I'm sorry. And let's say I just beat her ass like a day ago. And, you know, I'm right, and she flinching because I'm trying to grab the remote. Let's never talk about this ever. You know, she might say, well, let's, you know, maybe I just want to make sure you're never going to hit me again. But let's just talk about it one more time.
That's where we're at in this. Where are
we at?
Okay, like, so your analogy is that you beat your wife, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or let's not just even once, because if we put it in the context of slavery, I used to beat the fuck out of my wife.
Okay, all right.
For years.
Fine, for years, whatever.
And one day we stopped.
And sold her and bought her back. Right. Okay, because you missed her. I get it. All right. Now let's put it in this perspective. Mm-hmm. The 60s and the 70s was the wife talking about getting a lawyer, fighting back, not trusting, not wanting to do anything.
Civil rights.
Not wanting, fighting back, saying, you know what, you did beat me, and I deserve something for that. You got to show me more than just I'm sorry, I'm free now. Fuck you. I want more. This isn't fair. You're still treating me like a second-class citizen, right? Like, we'll take your analogy even further. You don't beat her every day now, you just beat her on Tuesdays. Right? Because you guys were free, but you had separate water, you had separate schools, we tried to dumb you down. Mm-hmm. That's how it was, right? Mm-hmm. So then the 60s and the 70s came, and you're like, no, I need a full apology, blah, blah, blah. Then the 80s came, and it really came to front, right? Where it's like, listen, I deserve you. I deserve equality, right? Okay? Then the 90s came. Now we're here in 2017.
2018 now.
Yeah, 2018, and we need to be able to go, how you doing today? Mm-hmm. And that's it. How was your day? And that's what Morgan Freeman's preaching. Don't ever talk about it.
The ignorance of it.
It's the process of what's going on. You know, like, yes, what happened was awful, and if it never happened, I wish I would do anything for that. But now it's time to go. You know what? I'm alive, and I don't ever have to do that. I don't ever have to talk about it. I get to just be your friend. I get to just be a good human, and you get to be a good human. Let's start there.
And I think it's in this weird, like you said, it's like in that middle section. And I think that's why it sticks, because you have it where I think pretty much everyone, obviously not everyone, but pretty much everyone wants it to be that way. But it's almost like we talked about minorities always being on the defensive. It's almost like being stuck in that, because you know that there are the people who are racist, where it's like, this could be a total accident, and then you have who knows how many people being like, this is what it should be, because it's a black, like, it'll be so many dumb people like
I don't
that.
See a problem. I see a monkey in a monkey sweater.
It's funny. This is the humor I was used to. Where they bring the blackface back? I hope so. Like, yeah.
We can make more clothing like this. Yeah. I support H&M.
Yeah.
You know.
And
so.
I think with that, that's what makes that defense. Like that's what makes that.
So
defense
this is my
against
question.
It, though.
When that generation, this is morbid as fuck, but when that generation dies off, are we gonna make that next step forward?
I don't think so because there are enough people being taught by that generation still that regardless of how many people.
I mean,
and it's hard. I mean, definitely dwindling, but I don't know if it would be. I think it would still take at least 100 more years.
I know
honesty.
my kids.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
You're
like,
not an a-hole though. So it's hard.
Well, I got 4 of them, so you take you take the percentage of kids in this area. I'm at 85% of the neighborhood.
Wow.
So. But no, like I mean, I just. Am I just too hopeful? Like, am I just naive and stupid that I think one day we're all just going to be able to hold hands and drink a Coca-Cola?
I think we...
First of all, we're going to be drinking Pepsi. So, yes, you are naive. No, but, you know, I get what you're saying, but yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You can't, I know it definitely looks, we got to look beyond the surface. It looks like stuff is dying down because a lot of us black people know racism, white supremacy is still here. A lot of it is covert. We look at statistics. There's more white people and black people in the country, but there's way more black people locked up. You're either going to look at that as a coincidence, you're going to look at it as black people just do more crime, and that can segue into the Steve Bannon war on weed thing, you know, where you try to make laws that can
right, and I'm not saying that things aren't still really fucked up, but we're talking about black people being in prison more than white people and having a less population here. We're trying to do something about it. We're being more aware. There's more stuff helping out the inner city, and there's more things.
Who's trying to do what?
Make things more equal. And maybe it is the media. Maybe they take one story that happened for the whole year, and that's what they plaster, and maybe I'm part of the mind control. I don't know. But I know when my dad was our age, nobody talked about shit like that.
Yeah, it just didn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it does. So, like, that's progression, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, like I was saying, as far as the concept of, you know, happiness and equality, I do think it'll happen. I just don't think that it'll happen anytime soon. Unfortunately, I would love that, but I really don't think it'll be like the next generation. I think it would take a few more, honestly, just because of there's
so do you
so
think
many...
you'll ever see it?
That's really hard to say. I think it would honestly depend on... I'll say, like, my cousin's growing up now. I'm 13 years older than the oldest, so he's, like, you know, in middle school now. That generation, I think it's possible to definitely see some more steps forward, but I don't think it would be until, like, when maybe I had, like...
grandkids?
Yeah. Or maybe his kids. Or maybe just his kids. Like, if I live long enough to have, like, if I live long enough to have great-grandkids, maybe I'd start to see it then. Or at least be like, okay, I might not see it myself, but I can tell... soon it'll be at that point, but I don't think that we'll actually see it like we want it to. I don't think that we will, unfortunately, because there's just so many.
Well, I mean, you know, you never get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you get what you need, right? I mean, because while you were talking about that, I was thinking about The Butler and like conversations I've had 10 years ago and stuff like that, 20, you know, when I was like 15 and stuff, and we had a black president.
Yeah,
we have gay officials.
There was a movie made on a black president by Chris Rock, Head of State, and that was like the joke.
That was the joke. Yeah, is that he was that was the other movie where he was the fat rich guy. What movie was that?
I have no idea.
It's Heaven.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, God, that movie's so funny.
Who was in it?
It's a Chris Rock movie.
At his peak.
It was a movie where he died and came back and was a white rich man.
I don't remember the name of that movie either, but I know. What you're talking about
so
now.
But anyway, like, you know, the military just came out and said transgender people could be open and do this. Like, we are progressing, and we're progressing a lot faster than we did 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
And I think, you know, like I was saying, that I think that definitely does come from most, if not all, of the next generation being better people than the last.
Perfect example. Where we started the show at. People freaking out of all races, ages, genders, sexual preference, wanting a black woman to be their president, to guide them. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I mean, leagues beyond 50 years ago, and that's not that long. You know, that seems forever, but that's not that long ago.
My dad lived in that era.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's still here today, so
yeah,
seen it.
Yeah, so it's like it is. You know, like you said, it's definitely leaps and bounds. It's just that you have almost like this, you know, like the hidden sect of people that are like that, where, you know, the big thing, like when Trump, like the day after he got elected.
Let me go farther. Like, this is weird, but like, I always thought, like, if you put all the kinds of government on a piece of paper and write it down and what it truly means, to me, communism was always, I'm like, you share stuff.
Everybody, yeah.
So, like, you go to the doctor, he looks at you, and then, like, you cook him food, or you fix his car, or you know, that's essentially, in a nutshell, how it works. And you're like, man, that's brilliant. Why don't we do that?
Money.
Money and well, that people are completely different. I'd be okay with being a doctor and fixing people up if they gave me a meal and all that stuff. I could give a shit if, you know, I've got a Gucci bag and all that stuff. I could care less. But the person standing next to me is like,
yeah, that's not
no,
my
that's
thing.
not me. I want a Lamborghini, and to do that, I have to be a doctor. So we have to present, you know, better jobs or whatever, and have like this weird thing. And I'm almost afraid that that's what equality is. Sounds great on paper, sounds great in theory, but it'll never work because there's always one person or two people
and that's all it takes.
Who are like, they're different. I don't like them.
And usually those people, at least in this context of America, have a lot of control.
Yes.
Have a lot of control and a lot of backdoor dealings. Like, sometimes a lot of the stuff that go on in the news, I look at it, I do look at it on the surface, I look at how people react to it, and I look at what's going on behind the doors. Like, for instance, just to wrap up the H&M stuff, because I want to get into some conspiracies. But, you know, I really had to look at this, because I'm not just one person that's going to look at it, get angry or whatever. I'm actually really logical in my thinking. So when I seen it, you got a you know, little black boy in a hoodie that say monkey. I either said, hey, there are either some white supremacists behind the scene and like, look, let's slip this through and let's see it, whatever, you know, it's gonna be our little joke. Or it was just a complete total accident. Somebody, you know, they just, maybe people that was around there had forward thinking minds. They're like, well, you know, we in a time where this is not really a big deal. That's an accident. So that's why I wasn't one of the people to kind of go on the attack. I'm just more so like, well, what really is going on behind the scenes? Because I am one of those people who like to dive deep in what the powers that be are doing. You know, if you want to say, because let's keep it real, this is not a democracy. You know what I'm saying? People do not decide, they don't even decide the president. Majority of people voted for Hillary Clinton. Yeah. And then just found out what the electoral college was. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think they got mad, like, we need to impeach
Trump. There's a Key and Peele skit about that, where they were talking about, they did like a fake voting commercial. It was like, yeah, because my vote matters. It's like, well, actually your vote goes into the electoral college, and then it's based on this and this. It's like, what? Like, that was the whole skit, was that.
One of my favorite skits to show that. Like how ignorant people are,
how stupid they are, I'll say it for you,
is when they explain the Affordable Care Act. And just called it the Affordable Care Act and said, okay, would you choose Obamacare? The Affordable Care Act. Yeah. They're like, oh, the Affordable Care Act, it sounds so good. Yeah. Bitch, they're the same thing.
Yeah,
Deal. Yeah,
and that's when another light bulb went off, where it's like, damn.
Don't try.
People know. Yeah. Well, no, not don't try, but the government and the people that know how to market. Sure. Yeah. You know, they're like
another thing to that point, Mr. Fantastic. When they were talking about the net neutrality thing, even some guy on YouTube pointed this out. They called it the Obama era regulation.
Yeah.
If you do your research, it's kind of been in place before Obama. It just wasn't called net neutrality. But to get people to feel a way about it, because they know it's a whole group of people that's just like, Obama, what? Get rid of that. Get rid of Obamacare. You know?
Oh, yeah.
That's an Obama regulation. Fuck net neutrality. I don't want free internet. Like, you know.
Yeah. I get raped for cable. Might as well be internet too.
Yeah.
I got one more hole.
Tell him, brother.
But no homo. Give me that Bud Light, please. Did you pick up the McDonald's?
Here you go. No, you know, that's just how it is. People know how to insert these little trigger words to make you feel a disposition towards whatever, and it could be
right back to personal. I mean, that goes right back. They know.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle that we're trying to break, and we're doing a great job at it. It's still just slowly but surely. It's like the motto.
But I want to transition. Sure. Speaking of non-breakable.
Okay. I can't wait to talk because I looked it up today. So we're gonna talk
Look it
about
up.
this.
Google it.
Yeah. So the Van Allen belt.
We're gonna talk about the Van Allen belt. What is your research showing you, Invisible Katana?
The first thing I want to do is
what is your
ask
scholarly?
Where did you get your information from? Because your definition to me was like nothing could get through the Van Allen belt. Like there is no materials and stuff like that. You made it seem like your thing was that we've never gone outside of the planet because you were sticking with that. So where did you get, what exactly was your info on the Van Allen belt? Because what I got had nothing to do with what you were talking about metals not being able to pass through and stuff like that.
What did you get? What did you see?
What I got from the Van Allen belt is that, first off, it has nothing to do with Earth. It's outside of Earth. It's 2 giant belts, technically 3, one that forms at random or whatever. But it's solely based on radiation. Like, that was the big thing about it, is that people going through it get doses of radiation. And if it's like a crazy thing with, like, if there's a solar flare or something, then it can spike radiation. And if you're going through it the wrong time, you can die from that. But it's 200 or 300 or something miles outside of Earth is the first belt, and then the second one is even further than that. So
it be so. What you saying is, because I ain't gonna lie, you might have been. I think about 20% of that was a little bit bullshit. Because what you just said was it's a radiation that sometimes you can go. Explain that to me. It's a radiation where sometimes you can go through it.
No, it's not that you sometimes can't. I was just saying if you go through during a solar flare, it will kill you if you go through it, because that's a solar flare from the sun is just extra radiation. That's what I meant by that. Okay. You can go through it. It's just super far, and people can die if you don't.
And I'm looking.
It's basically like weather patterns with the sun. Because I watched a video about how they did it before, because we've never been to the moon and all that. So I was like, I have to watch a video, because it's like, what's the point? So they talked about how they did that because they know where the belts are, like the discovery of the belts and the distance and stuff. And it's basically weather patterns of the sun. Like I mentioned, the solar flare thing. If they weren't checking that and they just like go up and a solar flare went off, all those people would have died from radiation. Like they went up with radiation, things, and basically they got like 0.1 radiation or something like that.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. And like someone who works with radiation actually gets 5.
Yeah, you get rats.
And they got and so
that is what it was about. It had everything I saw, at least, had nothing to do with metal can't go through it. It's just you get hit with doses of radiation, and that's it. It had nothing to do with a layer, because the way you explained it made it seem like it was in the Earth and you couldn't leave the planet. Well, that's how you. I guess
my understanding of it is it's like one of those spheres, like you get what do they say, like 10 layers of spheres, stratosphere. Atmosphere.
Yeah, it's not one of those. That's what I'm saying. It's not that. It's not even on. It has not. It's not on. It's not about. It's not a part of the ring of the atmosphere. It's like outside. It's 200 to 300 miles outside of Earth is the first set of belts, and then it's like 600 or 1,000 extra miles is the second.
In your
one.
Research, does it?
It's the picture. It's a picture. No, it's like the Earth is in the middle, and then there's like 2. But you know how the pictures of the moons look when they show the different types of moons?
So like.
So to just explain it to everyone while you're showing the picture, it's like when you look at a picture where it shows all the different versions of the moon, and they have the full moon in the middle, and then you have like the 2 crescent moons on the outside. Gotcha. That's kind of what it looks like. Like the moon is in the middle, and then there's like 2 crescents that are away from the Earth.
This one shows like where stuff's at and how it went through and everything. And like they also talk about how they did the research on the radiation, because they were worried that it was going to kill them.
Yeah.
That's what they were worried about. They didn't know. And so that's why you got like the spacecrafts and then the dogs and all that stuff. Like people don't know that, but they were worried about that kind of stuff. And so that's why we had the tests like that to see if stuff could go through.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too much into this, because this is a battle of sources right now. Okay. And because I was going to tell you to cite your sources, but then I would have to cite my sources.
Mine are just YouTube videos.
Yeah, and mine's Wikipedia. I mean, we are 2018, so we don't have to go farther than that. You type in Google what you want, and then you go, oh, this looks like it agrees with me, so we'll discuss this.
Yeah, but I'm going to find the articles and go, nope, but there you go. That says it's
fake science.
So yeah,
fake news is real, brother.
Right, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that later, because, I definitely want to bring up my sources. I don't just want to say what I know. Okay. We're going to go source for source. But all right, let's keep on the conspiracy range.
Okay.
Are you guys familiar with a guy named Alex Jones?
Yes. You definitely. I've heard the name enough. Not familiar enough with him to know where you're headed.
Mr. Fantastic?
I know somewhat, but I don't know where you're going with it either. I mean, he should be like your god, right?
No, actually, he's not. Us people in the world who are what I like to call free thinkers. That means we think freely, without the influence of big government or media, Disney, all that bullshit. But anyway, this guy Alex Jones, I ain't gonna lie, he was an instrumental person, I would say, in my early years of consciousness. Just because when YouTube just began to be a big deal, there were very few guys yelling on a microphone about the ways that the Earth was gonna end and how it was due to the government. So of course that information appealed to me. And this is not really a expose on Alex Jones. I'm not really here to shit on him, even though I am here to expose him a little bit to people who are in the tinfoil hat realm of getting alternative information. You see what I'm saying? But this guy, he's a guy who, I guess his spiel is, of course, the government takeover. Yeah. Big government trying to take away rights and freedoms, which at the time, post 9/11 stuff, a lot of people was looking up, and he has tons of videos of 9/11. I'm not even gonna get into all of them because you get into the
conspiracies on that.
Yeah, you get into that realm, which I don't even want to touch right now because a lot of that's been whatever. Yeah. But he gets into that stuff, and I think he got in big trouble one time for saying that, which was another conspiracy going around. And like I said, a lot of these guys are the proponents of these quote-unquote fake conspiracies or telling people that things are a conspiracy. Sandy Hook, he was one of the first people that came out and said, that's a false flag.
Okay. That's why I remember him.
There you go.
It's from that, because that was done to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, this is a guy who...
Was he the one who did the conspiracy about the sex ring at the Pizza Huts?
Pizzagate.
Was he the Pizzagate guy? Yeah. Okay, now I know who you're talking about.
Go.
All right. So, because he made sense like when he was first coming out, and then he started getting a little...
Yeah, he's kind of revealed himself because at this point he's a huge internet personality. 3 million subscribers on YouTube. Social media sites going crazy. A lot of people look to Alex Jones for a lot of stuff, but it's came out a while ago, and this is just for people who's in that realm who maybe still watches this stuff. Look, take that with like the little bittiest grain of salt, because this guy, something came out where he did a court case where he kind of had to admit that a lot of stuff that he was doing was totally entertaining.
Okay, I remember that now because one of the YouTube channels I watch, the guy actually knew him in the past, and he was talking about how he knew that he was kind of an entertainer, and it was like, okay, and it was cool, and like you said, like how he started to get crazy, and that's when he was like, no, I don't really F with that guy anymore because he got like actually weird and crazy and started to say some effed up stuff. Exactly. So now I remember exactly who you're talking about.
His wife even outed him because she said for a long time she didn't know what the fuck he was doing. It was just he like owned a big ass ranch in Texas, would keep her at the house and be like, don't turn on the internet. Just don't look at the internet. He's not on TV, so watch TV, you go watch Fox, go watch MSNBC, but don't you ever look on the internet. So she said when she came across his video, she was real scared, because he talked about a lot of shit.
The crazy stuff that he said. Yeah.
And supposedly one of his biggest supporters is Donald Trump. It's fuck because he came out in a time where of course he hated Obama, and that's when the government was taking over. But then when Trump got elected, a lot of people kind of were split because I thought this is still big government. This is still a president. And you're like, no, Trump is gonna do this for us. He's gonna be our guy. That turned a lot of people off. Like, but then some people just followed it. Like, hey, maybe he is our guy. If you've been following long enough, you're just gonna go with it. Yeah. Some people did have a mind and say, wait a minute, we supposed to, no matter who's president, we supposed to kind of be against it a little bit, because ain't nothing changed. So, yeah, I'm throwing him out there. Alex Jones, you a fuck boy. Get off the internet with your faking ass, or just tell people it's fake, because from what I believe, he believes what he believes, but whenever he gets in trouble, it's entertainment.
Yeah, you have to say like it's a personality. Yeah.
So that's not some good information as far as conspiracies go. But yeah, so yeah, he's real infamous in like the TV realm.
Yeah.
Yep. So
that's interesting because when you brought it up, I was like, I definitely remembered the name because when that happened, that was like in the summer or something of last year, wasn't it? When like that court case thing came out. Yeah, because I remember watching a video about that. Like I said, the guy knew him and they used to be friends. Like, yeah, used to be cool, and then I knew it was an act, but then I was like, the act is going a little extra with his act all of a sudden, and it was like, I can't F with him anymore, so that was it. Yeah, it's like something was wrong with him.
You know who is a good source, who actually exposed this guy a long ass freaking time ago? Look up for all my conspiracy theorist partners out there on the Invisiblekatana channel and the Anarchist channel. Go look up a guy named Bill Cooper, aka William Cooper. Got a lot of good books. And was exposing this guy a while ago. But yeah, any last thoughts?
No. We can end it on that.
Alright, man, let's keep the conspiracies going. Don't forget to remind us about getting our sources for the Van Allen bill, because this is some bullshit. See, they like to put out propaganda, and then, here you go. They can really get around it, and the radiation at this time is not exactly, if there's a solar flare, then at this point in time, then you, fuck all that. Keep it playing. We gonna go source for source. I'm gonna get the big books out on you. You see what I'm saying?
Well, what I got video. No less crazy than we can't leave the planet. So.
Yeah.
You got YouTube videos? Yes. I got YouTube videos. Let's go YouTube versus YouTube. My YouTubers against your YouTubers. Let's go. Y'all gonna hear all next. Tune in to the next show, A Few Nobodies
or in
podcast.
2 weeks. Episode after next, because we're doing.
Tune in 2 weeks from now. The episode after next. This has been A Few Nobodies. I've been the Anarchist. Follow me on social media at Anarchist Beats with a Z.
I'm at Invisiblekatana across the web, Mr. Fantastic.
And Stewster at iCloud.com.
And we are, of course, A Few Nobodies podcast at gmail.com. We are at A Few Nobodies on both Twitter and Instagram as well. If you guys are checking this out, definitely check out some of our snippets. We started doing that, I think, 2 episodes back, kind of cutting up some of like our best pieces. So if you've gone through this whole episode, you just want to see like some little 4-minute clips, we got some of those. So definitely check them out. They should be up on my channel. There'll definitely be links if you don't want to search. Just go straight to Twitter, because I got like 1 million videos, so you'd have to probably search through my stuff. But just go straight to Twitter, the links will be there.
Damn, how many Ruby reviews your ass got? Shit!
What is this, a Brotherhood review?
I don't give a fuck about Bright. Get this shit out of here.
But definitely get in touch with us. Either email, Instagram, or Twitter. Definitely let us know what we should be talking about, or just put your comments down in the comment section below. Peace.
Peace.